What's going on, guys? It is Shadow bringing you guys the next round, 2 locals. Ended up facing a Shanks, and I think I won dice roll, chose to go second to keep my curve. One down turn for Shanks, passed. They didn't have the Uta Searcher if they are running it. On my 2 down turn, my first turn, I ended up doing Flampe first to take the draw from life and take another draw. And you see, I did find a Gecko Moria, which is good. I want to try to find as many of those as possible. I'm not playing Dofi, so I don't have to worry about my hand being stripped. So you see there, he attaches all 3 down, swings big at my leader, so I take it. There's no point in me not taking it right now. Luckily for me, he didn't have anything to play on turn 3, like a Hongo or something. When I played Shanks, I like to establish a Hongo just to have the -2k reduction. Not necessary, but it is good to have at least. You do see here, I play out a Hiyori, take a life, put a card at the top, and I play out a Sabo, which will now buff up my leader and give my board immunity while being able to cycle out cards. Right here, as you can tell, I'm playing very risky because now next turn I'll be down to 1 life at 6 down turn if he decides to swing big again, but it'll allow me to start activating my leader ability. And you see I'm pitching out Kuzan, essentially pitching out the bricks that I don't need. I believe I might pitch 3 Brothers Bond or a 5 cost, but yeah, I don't know. This game I took a very aggressive approach of trying to get down to life with trying to establish a decent hand size with the Flampe. The Hiyori was just risky, but I figured I'd just rather get the Sabo on the board and cycle, because 5 down turn, at best, he's probably going to establish maybe a Marco or an ace, so then it would buy me a turn and not get hit with by my leader. So you see, he just passes. He didn't have a 5 down turn play, which shows me that he's essentially pretty much bricked. Nothing but top end is what I'm assuming. And you do see here, I'm gonna tap 5 and establish another Sabo, draw 2, and I'm gonna pitch 2. And you see there, I do find my second Moria, and now you see I start pitching the babies, which typically I don't do just because I want to hold on to them for specifically if I don't see Morias, but seeing 2 Morias makes me feel comfortable enough to just start pitching them. And it sets up the trash to have the babies Luffy and the Sabo there. So you see I did swing aggressively and decide to swing 6 and 6 with Sabo and Luffy. He gives me 2/2Ks and then passes turn Ben Beckman's my active Sabo, but still decides not to swing, which is probably the most ideal choice. I would have taken it. I would not have countered, just so I could start, doing my leader ability to awaken and everything. But 8 down turn, I can, if I really wanted to, establish a Moria here, bring back the Kuzan and one of the babies, if I really, felt a little spicy there. I would have potentially plussed up my hand size. But looks like I might have another Hiyori to set up life, which again, I'm taking the approach of being very aggressive with this. Oh, well, it looks like I'm opting to do Luffy. I do Luffy to Sabo to protect it from any KO abilities like Rayleigh, and cycling out my hand, which you do see I pitch a Garp and a Shirahoshi. And I swing again with the 6, because if it does leader ability, it would still cost him a counter card, since it would only bring it down to 5. And I swing again with leader. This time he takes it. Currently at 3 life to my 1. Next turn I should be at my 10 down turn, which is basically a recipe for me to be able to start establishing my leader cycle, especially with 2 Morias in hand and a baby Sabo and Luffy. Well, I established the baby Luffy on the field last turn just so that I can have it there, so I don't have to waste 2 dawn with having to get the baby there, or I could potentially grab something else off of Moria if I felt spicy enough. So you see he swings 9 at the Sabo. I don't mind if he KOs it at all, just because again if I play Moria, Moria will play over Flampe and Hiyori, which I'm okay with. And he taps 5, plays out a Marco, and decides to pass. I was hoping that he was just going to swing at my life. Opts not to, which, again, is the smart choice, so I don't blame him. So he didn't want to let me activate my Moria, so to be on the safe side, I believe I'm going to end up doing a Flampe here, just to take the draw and take an extra card from the top of the deck. I do have a baby in hand, so I'm not specifically worried. But I could at least start to cycle my life how I want to. Yeah, you see, I am going back and forth between trash and deciding what I want to do. I was considering on also doing the Luffy, just a blind pop it, and you did see there was an egghead Luffy there, so if I did decide to do the Luffy, I would have actually hit and got the 7k buff and established a body. But those are just gambles. I took the safe approach to just take the life and draw another card for it, so I'd rather have the hand size than the gamble pay off right there. But I do play out a Kuzan, and I do the Kuzan just so that I can draw a card and specifically set up so that it can do swing and then reduce something by 4, which is what I really want to try to do. But I do pop the baby Luffy and reveal the other Luffy, making myself a 9k leader with 1 life there to be able to utilize. Oh no, just kidding. I'm only a 7k leader right now. I would have been a 9k if I would have took the gamble prior. But I end up swinging, I believe 13 or 11. 7, 10. I swung 12k. So 12k pretty much guarantees that I actually land the hit right there, which is what I want to happen. But at this point, we're pretty much wide how we want to be. Kuzan is there, so if he plays out a Rayleigh, I can swing 5 with the Kuzan, reduce the Rayleigh. I could pop it with the Egghead Luffy. Unless he establishes Rayleigh, he can pop the board. So this is where it's a little tricky. Sabo was not played the last turn, so everything can be KO'd if he is able to establish the bodies. But I'm essentially trying to set up just so that I can pop anything, because me having the Shirahoshi in the trash, if I decide to Moria, as long as Kuzan is there and Egghead Luffy's on the field, I can pop one of his 10 cost Shanks, which is what I'm hoping he ends up playing right here. And you do see the 10 drop come out, and this is essentially exactly what I wanted to happen, because now as long as the Kuzan can stick, I'm going to be able to get rid of the Shanks, no problem right here. And at best, he can only swing with the Shanks and the Ben Beckman. So with the Ben Beckman swing, I decided to give him a 1k, basically just setting up the trash. And then this Shanks swing, I'm going to give him my Sabo. Actually, I don't even think he swings with the Shanks, but it's the most ideal thing to do. Yep, so he swings with the Shanks. I give him my Sabo. And now I'm set up perfectly to be able to remove this Shanks, since Kuzan's stuck with... The most ideal thing to do there would have probably been a Rayleigh to remove and reduce. But you probably may not have had it. So there you go. Moria hits the field, gonna replace both Flampe's. I'm gonna end up grabbing a Shirahoshi and a Sabo. And I do this just so that, again, I can get the Sabo on the board, protect my field, bump my leader up to 7, and then establish 2 life at the end. So I just swing 5 at his leader. Not 5, 4 because of the Shanks, but it does reduce the Shanks by 4, which now allows my Egghead Luffy to be able to pop. And before I do that, I swing 6 at leader with the Luffy, 5 at leader with the Luffy. He ends up using leader ability, and then I pop the Shanks with the Egghead Luffy. At least now I'm, taking away the leader effect, but not that it would matter, since my leader is now a 7k with the Sabo, and then it's gonna require him to give me 2 cards. And you do see I pitch another Egghead Luffy and a Garp. Don't necessarily need them at this point because now I do have the other Moria in hand, and the babies don't need them because I could just leave them in the trash and bring them back with Morias. Because I believe I do end up seeing 3 Morias this game. So I absolutely had it stacked, to be honest with you. And now we're 7k with 2 life. As long as it can stay there, I can make myself a consistent 9k leader with 2 life, which is absolutely diabolical in BY to do. I do decide to swing 11k at the Ben Beckman, and I do this just so that he won't be able to, poke at my board. And it's going to ask him to give me a bunch of counter if he wants to protect his Ben Beckman as well. Since I am swinging for 11. Actually, I believe he just undercountered right there. I believe he only gave me 4k in counter. Now that I'm looking back at it. But it is what it is, I guess, at this point. Too late. But yeah, that I believe if I didn't see 5k, it should have been 5k in counter there since I was swinging. No, it's right. He countered right. I'm not a 9k, I'm a 7k. So that was a 9k swing at the Ben Beckman. So I took 2 2ks out of hand, which is perfect for me. I don't know. I thought it was a 9k for some reason. I'm just thinking it in my head, foreshadowing what's about to happen. He does establish a rally, which allows him to cycle, but basically draw 2, trash 1. So cycle out a brick and potentially find some counter. And here he decides to swing 7 at the Kuzan, which I contemplate on whether or not I should give him the Shirahoshi, and I do decide to do that. Because the Kuzan, if it sticks on the field, this thing can do a lot of damage to his field because I'd be able to pop every single thing as long as it stays on the field. So there he swings 9, and I'm contemplating on giving him the Sabo because at best he swings another 7 with his leader. And I decide to just let him get the Kuzan. I'll keep the Sabo instead. Because at least Sabo can swing even if he uses his leader ability compared to Kuzan. And now he's deciding whether or not to essentially swing 7 or keep a Dawn up for Radbeam. And you see there he tries to swing for 6, but I am a 7k leader. And ultimately does decide to swing for 7. I give him a 2k. And this is where I start doing BY things. Gecko Moria. Moria's gonna grab me the Luffy and the Sabo. Buff up my leader. I'm gonna go to 9k leader. And essentially establish 2 more life back up to the top. So at best he's gonna have to basically just use every single Dawn that he gets to try to swing at me that whole next turn. So you do see I do decide to do leader ability because why not? Keep the 2 life, set myself to a really good spot. And I believe I didn't chuck the Hiyori, so I did put the Hiyori to trash, looks like. Establishing this, I swing 9 at the Moria. And then Moria, I believe he's gonna take this swing. No, he counters out for 2 2Ks because he did use his leader ability. I hit swing for Sabo, and I swing with my leader. He gave me a 2k for the Sabo. And then I end up passing. I choose not to pop the Egghead Luffy because I figured I can use it to just swing wide next turn. Really don't need the counter. I have 1 blocker, 3 life. And again, if he does play out a Rush Shanks or a Goldie Rogers, I just take the Goldie Rogers swing. Realistically, I can block if he decides to go for Morris since we are both have a life, so I'm not necessarily too afraid of a Roger at this point of the game. But that's the one thing you have to play around in this matchup is the Goldie Roger, because if not, the Goldie Roger can essentially just win the game. Even if I block her up, the alternate win condition on the Roger just, you know, screws up that entire plan. So there he goes. He's swinging 6. He's just trying to, at this point, KO the Moria, but I have more than enough counter to essentially protect it just because I was able to cycle so many times. But that was his game plan, to try to remove pressure, but at the end of the day, there's not much he can do. I am completely stacked. He decides to just swing the Sabo to clear board, but I'm just going to start swinging out with everything. All of it connects, and I think I just one big leader swing, and that's the game. So if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys thought of the match, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.